Hey kids, Fire Prepper here. Yep, it's been a while, and all I can say is what's becoming this channel's second motto: life happens. So, brief recap. About a year or so ago, had a employment change, and there are times it leaves me unable to spend the time I want doing this or focusing on this aspect of life because 12-hour shifts. Anyway, with recent events, tornadoes in strange places, hurricanes in Texas, it kind of inspired me again to get back on this and say a few things. So let's first comment on hurricanes and tornadoes, of course. A lot of wind, a lot of water, a lot of things messed up. And having just been down in Houston recently, visiting a friend who, like 2.7 million other people, was out of power, but he has a generator and a decent sized one, so their house had power. Why do I mention this? Because another friend, also in hurricane country down in Florida, gentleman who runs the Coffee in a True Crime Dumpster Fire podcast, shout out there, look him up to see if we can't get him producing content again. But he evacuated for a hurricane a couple years ago, actually several hurricanes in a row. He was forced to stay out of town and came back and had lost about $2,000 worth of meat in his deep freeze. Now, a lot of meat, freezer not working, Florida, summer. We can only imagine the smell. So, something we should all kind of look at is how are we going to weather the storm? Do we have a generator? Do we have enough gas or diesel to get us to a point where we're not going to lose an investment like that? And meat in a freezer is an investment. It's an investment in eating cheap, because the prices go nowhere but up. So if you have the means and you have the opportunity to put back not just some food, not just some frozen victuals, but a generator and enough fuel to last through an emergency. How long did the situation last up in New York? 10 years ago, when that hurricane rolled through there and shut down power and shut down everything for a couple days at least, in some places for a couple weeks. So if we look at that time frame, a couple weeks, as our starting point, and I like to use, excuse me, I like to use certain time frames as a starting point, because that's when things start returning to normal in emergencies. It could be 3 days. You know, the snowstorm, you're dug out in 3 days. That's pretty much a given. Hurricanes, a couple weeks. Power's back up. They've rebuilt the grid in that area. The water is receded normally, at least far enough for you to get back to life. Tornadoes, if you're not hit immediately, initial damage, okay, you're generally back, the power's back up and running a couple days. Most localized emergencies, you can get by with 3 days to 3 weeks worth of supplies. And that's not hard to put back, because we're not talking about needing some expensive freeze-dried meals or kits that cost thousands of dollars, all inclusive, and last 90 years, and all this hoo-ha. A couple weeks we can get by with, realistically, just extra stuff in our pantries. You know, throw a couple cans of Chef Boyardee ravioli on the back. Throw something you'll eat, of course. That's the key. It has to be something you'll eat. But, you know, if you eat a lot of Chinese, for example, throw a box of minute rice. Yeah, I know, not as good as regular, but it uses very little water and it's fast, so you don't use a lot of your stored up calories vis-a-vis heat, propane stove, you know, wood, whatever. And a couple cans of like the La Choy chow mein. You know, you got the 2-can pack. One has veggies in it, the other has the sauce and stuff in it. So it's sauce and meat. You have basically a complete meal right there. Put some of those back. Put some canned soups back. Put, you know, the chunky soups. Put back some stuff that's got a little stick to it. Stick to your ribs in it. No, it starts to sound like Biden here. Good grief. Put back foods that are going to be easy to cook, easy to eat, and something that's not going to disturb your system. A lot of people cannot handle things that get too far out of the norm. If all your body knows is fresh vegetables and fresh everything, if you start throwing prepackaged stuff at it, it may not like it as much as one might think. So have something put back that you can, that's fast, that's easy, and that you can digest. So, all right, let's see. What else are we hitting today? I believe I mentioned before, have a gun. In today's times, that this is one of those items that is becoming more and more I won't say needed, but it is an accessory that fits more people's lives than we would like to consider. Situations are degrading in various places. How many people were shot in Chicago over the 4th of July weekend? 100? That's ridiculous. And that's just the criminal behavior. That's not including self-defense shootings, that sort of thing. That's just the criminal act side of it. You know, the self-defense aspect is very minimal in life, thankfully. But it does happen, and we do need to pay attention and have at least some kind of tool to defend ourselves. Again, I don't make any particular recommendation or give advice regarding makes, models, calibers, and that really matters for self-defense. You need something that's reliable and that you have some ammunition and some practice with. Why some ammunition? Because if you only got 20 rounds and need 23, you're kind of stuck. Practice, well, you need to know how to use the thing. Learning in the middle of an emergency is not a good plan. So, take some time. If you need something, figure out how to get it. There's some high quality, low cost items out there today. And channels like SPN Firearms has put forth a couple of really good videos on some of the budget friendly ones. So shout out to Spin Firearms. Also, let's see. Also, right now, with a good part of the country going through a heat wave this week, temperatures into the triple digits. This is probably something we should be paying attention to. And I'm not saying climate change, I'm saying summer. This happens every year, has for millennia. So, again, with the generator, if your AC goes off because the power's off, you got to do something before the heat gets you. And there's a lot of friends of mine and a lot of family that are in a position either physically or, well, because of their age, who cannot handle 100 plus degrees anymore without suffering a lot. So having the ability to at least crank up some fans and have the freezer and refrigerator working so they can have some cold water and have some ice and help mitigate the problems of summer, that's probably something we should be looking at. Now, I'm not saying that's the end-all answer, but short term, we should probably be looking at things like that rather than Armageddon, rather than the end of the world as we know it. Because realistically, the world as we knew it, that's literally yesterday. Philosophically, the world we knew yesterday, 24 hours ago, is a completely different place. Sure, a lot of things look the same, act the same, walk the same, talk the same, but technology has advanced overnight. Change happens overnight. Inflation happened overnight. We will never see yesterday again. And that is something we have to come to terms with and can understand. Technology advances constantly. We have to keep up with it in some respects, not just to stay relevant, but to be able to function. How many here are still running VHS or Betamax for videos? How many here are still running videos? Or are you just digitally streaming everything? Progress, change. And the quality, picture quality and everything has changed and gotten better. If we don't keep up with a certain amount of change, technology, and change sucks, doesn't it? If we don't keep up with it, certain things will leave us behind. How many here can still make a phone call on an analog phone? Yeah, not gonna happen. So, look at that inverter, look at that solar panel, look at the technology that has gotten cheaper and more available that may be able to replace that aging, hulking generator, that may be able to take the place of that entire library of books. You can put it all on an iPad. Now, granted, you need power to charge it, but again, technology, you can carry an entire library in a small bag now because technology. I still prefer books too, so a bit of a ramble today, bit of unscripted work, as it were, but look around, look at the situation you're in and where you are and say, what can happen here, and start planning accordingly. We'll go back to our original motto here and do something. All right, Pirate Pepper out. See you soon.